Sorry.
Okay, DDA, do we have?
DDA did have a meeting. They were going over, let me see my notes here. They're in the process of hiring a new DDA director. And then they also had talked about the holiday lighting, the financial part of it, and adding more lights to Ganshaw Park. That was all 18 trees that are down there, and they're going to be trying to get even farther, possibly this next year, at the Holly Foods Plaza and the Elga Credit Union down at the north end. And then they had a special meeting last night. That was just last night. And they had 2 interviews, and they're going to be checking one of those people. So that's it that I have for DDA. And if you wanted to know about the village meeting, which he isn't here tonight, they were talking about the hiring and, let me see here. They had 15 applicants for the clerk treasurer, and they have gotten it down to 5. And they are having a special meeting Saturday, November 2nd at 9 a.m. And it's a public meeting for interviewing all 5 of the applicants. And that's going to be right here, and that was, like I said, 9 a.m. So that's what their special meeting was about.
Very good.
And it sounds like with the DDA, they are making the DDA board is putting a conditional contract forward, so potentially
Yes.
we could have a new DDA director coming up.
Yeah.
I believe it has to be approved by council, but I'm not.
Yes, it has to be
Yeah.
approved by council. It has to be bought before council, and then that's also if the person accepts what the contract was.
Yeah, negotiation.
So, yeah.
Very good. Okay, Parks Commission. If we have anybody with input from Parks.
They don't meet after October, I believe,
Yeah.
so.
All right, moving on to commissioner and staff comments. Let's start with Ms. Wallace.
I don't think I have.
Ms. Everett?
Oh, you know I do. No, I do. I was doing my usual Gladys Kravitz nosing around, and the depot building was open. So, doors open, guys working, I go in there, and I meet Tom Kernan, and he tells me that Nick Klemp has asked him to take over kind of project management of the depot. And so he describes how they've hired a company that's going to lift up the building, and they've dropped off all of this plywood, and he's there to put the plywood up over the windows. I'm looking at Larry. Have you dropped in?
I haven't dropped in, but I've been
All right.
watching from afar.
Well, so, you know, he's chatty and so am I, so I'm getting the whole story. And basically what he explains to me is that this company is gonna dig underneath the depot. They're gonna knock the cement floor out, because right now the depot just sits on ground. There's really, maybe rat walls is all that's there. And then, after they're underneath it, they're gonna hoist it up and slowly lift it up, and it's gonna go on a big truck or trailer or something. And he described this process as taking like 6 to 10 weeks. I'm like, cool, you know, been waiting for this for a long time. So I go home and I'm talking to Jim about it, and Jim says, where are they gonna put it? So, my question is, as I read through the Michigan law for the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, it says, a street, square, park, playground, public way, ground, or other open space, or public building or other structure shall not be constructed or authorized for construction in an area covered by a municipal master plan unless the location, character, and extent of the street, public way, open space, structure, or utility have been submitted to the Planning Commission by the legislative body or other body having jurisdiction over the authorization or financing of the project and has been approved by the Planning Commission. So I went to the person on the DDA who thought he was in charge of moving the depot, and he didn't know anything about this plan, nor has he seen any site plans, nor was he invited to a meeting that happened here at the village this last week that was specifically about the depot. So before we jack this building up and let it sit on a trailer, I would like to say, administration, could we have a site plan submitted to the Planning Commission
Sure, yeah. I could
before
bring
that
to them.
thing gets jacked up? And, I mean, once it's destabilized, there's no time. You've got to hustle up and stabilize it again right away. And I can't even see that there's even been misdig over there.
No, it's not at that stage yet.
Well,
Tom
but this
Kearney's
man
doing
says
some
6 to
prep.
10 weeks, it's gonna be up and running. And if you were just now talking about putting in a basement and utilities and everything else, that timeline doesn't match up.
Yeah. So I know there's a meeting next week for the depot. I just got it today, but I'm kind of on the back burner of it as the building official. I know there is a site plan. It was, that site plan was prepared by Oakland County and Mr. Ron Campbell and the HDC, and they had to go through some federal government procedures to keep its historic landmark. So I know all that process has been done and approved. I was unaware, or I don't even know if administration or Nick Lemp or DDA was aware that it needed to go to the Planning Commission. So.
I have a question. Who owns the depot?
Well, that's up for grabs too.
I believe the village.
The village owns the
Well,
field, but it's on
But
land
the
that
property
The
was owned
DDA
by
think-
the
the-
railroad.
by the railroad.
The DDA thinks they own it because they hold the nonprofit that's been getting the donations.
Right, and
the
DDA
foundation
is-
funding.
Is a public entity, though.
But they have a nonprofit under their DDA.
Right, but it's still part of the village's government.
But this is an issue that needs to be clarified, who's gonna
So-
hold the insurance
So
and,
maybe I can help answer it, maybe I just walked into this, guys, just give me a second. Is that, just like this building, local government is exempt from zoning.
this building should have been reviewed, but it was called a remodel. But
just-
under the
but-
Planning
but
Act, this
just-
should have come
Actually,
under the
so let
Planning
me-
Commission.
so I understand what you mean, so you're right, but like I said, like, there's two parts to that there, so by the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, a site plan review is only required, and that's, whatever, that presentation is somewhat accurate but not, it's only required for any special land use. That's part of the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. Your zoning ordinance, let me just, a couple of points. Your zoning ordinance details out how you wish to manage planning, local planning and zoning, right? So you do have the ability through state law to exempt permitted uses from site plan review. That's just part of the state law, okay? So
That's not what it says in the one that I'm reading.
I know, that's the thing. So I just want to bring that into context, so just to bring that up. So, did you get that from MSU, who'd you get that from?
No, I got it from the Michigan compiled laws.
Okay, well, the Michigan Township Association attorney, who I'm close with and I work with on all this solar stuff, she had a presentation, and that is part of all that. The other thing is, it's been precedent, so this was before and now by the courts have deemed, it doesn't even have to be in the ordinance, is that, like, just like this building, if it's owned by the municipality, you're exempt from your own ordinance. However, if say the state comes in or the federal government comes in, or whatever it may be, they have to follow the ordinance, but you locally are exempt from your own ordinance. And that's a precedent that's been established in the state of Michigan for a while now. So, that is part of the story. The other part of the story is obviously like meeting, building code. So I'm talking about the zoning ordinance. Zoning ordinance is different from building code.
And
So
I'm
we got-
talking about
yeah.
planning.
Right, so,
And people in this community look to us
Yeah.
to be knowledgeable and on top
Yeah.
of what's being planned for this community. And that is the most expensive, most visible building, and I do not see any reason why anybody would want to skip this process, even if they could.
I understand where you're coming from and the importance of it, but I'm just giving you the context. And I would tell you the
And
same
I'm
thing.
gonna wait for our legal counsel, because
yeah.
this is a question I'm gonna bring up to
Yeah.
the
And-
village
and you're-
council as
you're-
well.
Yeah, and I work with your attorney in other communities, so, I mean, I would tell, regardless of the context or the community or how I know you guys, it's the same story in every town.
And my question is,
Yeah.
why do people want to bypass and not
Because-
hold themselves
so-
accountable to
yeah.
the same standards that they would hold me accountable
Yeah.
to if I wanted to
Yeah,
build a
so-
building there?
So, if it's owned by the municipality, like in this case, the village, it's that you're exempt from your own zoning ordinance. And that's the case for every community.
But we're talking planning, a planning process.
Yeah, the
It's
planning
still
is
an
part of the,
ordinance.
is part of the zoning ordinance. What you can do or how you guys run your
I think-
meetings is based on your bylaws and the zoning ordinance. That's how you guys, that's when I come in and give you, just to give you the context of that side. Now, what are the plans? I don't know, I can't speak to them, but I just want to let you guys know, that's the same, being your consultant, I just have to share that with you of the exemption. That's a precedent in the state of Michigan.
Does, in your experience, does that exemption usually, is that taken advantage of when any municipality is building within their own, I mean, do you ever see anybody that says, we don't have to, but we are gonna spend this money to put it through plan? Or is
Well,
it pretty much across the board that
so-
this is, and I don't mean taking advantage of
Yeah,
it.
so
I mean,
I'll give you a couple like case studies, like, other, how this would work, right? So, one was about signage, one was about like a public works building, right? So the city's, it's a Genesee County, it's a very density, it's very similar to you guys. I mean, if there was like a Genesee County community that is like yours, it'd be them. And they're on a river, and they're pretty built out. There's not enough space to go. So they need a new public works building. And there's an opportunity for them to, I believe it was purchase a property and move their public works operations to that building. The thing is that it's such a tight site that they want to, obviously the setbacks, if they were to follow it, wouldn't work. So they just moved that building closer. Now, the property line was abutting like a hill, so it almost didn't matter at that point. So that's kind of the case where they put it up almost to the property line to get some space, but it was in a hill, no one wanted that property, it could flood, whatever, so they put their public works. Another case recently was a similar community, just like yours too, and far off, but was about signage. So because they're exempt from their own zoning ordinance, they can put up, a sign out that was illuminating and broadcasted messages. So if like say, hey, if you drove by it, you would have, text that says on the bottom, hey, urgent city council meeting, next week, Wednesday, stuff like that, because it's for the public good, right? So that kind of stuff. So, Gerald, I know where you're coming from. I think you want to know, it's important, what's the county wanting helping out, what's the village doing, but just, legally, that's just,
Now, that may
good or
be-
for worse is what it is.
That may be the case legally, but if our elected representative said you must go through planning, staff is going to go through planning, so.
Yeah, well, I can't answer that, guys. I'm just
Yeah,
giving you
so it
stories from
doesn't-
other communities.
Yeah.
I give you best practices or examples or, how to help you
Well,
out.
and
So
the
I just want to
examples
share
you
that.
gave
yeah.
were like moving a
Yeah.
building back a little bit and a sign. We're talking about a huge building that And when I'm looking at it, Barry may well take out most of the parking for the Moose. You know, I've asked that question, what happens with the parking that we're gonna lose?
Yeah.
And, you know, to just say, oh, because you can do it, isn't the right thing to do for the community.
I don't think
And
there's
if-
anybody in this room that can address that issue.
Well, I'm gonna go with the council. And I guess I maybe just do a straw poll here. Do you think we should all just say, oh, go do whatever you want? And when people ask us, well, what about the planning commission? We just say, well, you know, they didn't have to talk to us.
I don't think we should go into being adversaries. I think if we can get a site plan, we get a site plan. And then
That's
we
all
can-
I've asked for.
So can we be provided with a site plan of what they're planning to do with it?
I will take it to administration and the meeting next week, and I will give you an update at November's meeting.
Because if we can go out and just say, we just want to know, as opposed to whether they have to do it or they don't have to do it. If they don't have to do it, they don't have to do it. No amount of stomping our feet and pounding our hands is gonna make
Well, I'm
them do
sorry,
it.
I am gonna ask the attorney, because I'm sorry, I'm reading this law, and it says that you're supposed to bring it before us, that we have 35 days to act. If we don't act, they can go ahead and do with what they want, and if they don't like with what they come up with, then that jurisdictional body can overrule us. It's very plain here. I don't see why it has to be that onerous to give us a site plan so that we have some idea of where the cars are gonna come and go, and where the lights are gonna be, and where the doors are gonna be. You know, the conversations I've had with people about there being plumbing in there have been, well, we're not gonna have toilets. Are we gonna put down a building that doesn't even meet, like, can't have an occupancy permit?
I think it's out of my pay grade,
Yeah.
personally.
Instead
I
of
just-
source
I
being,
mean, we should give them the option to respond. I mean, if they can't give us or won't give us, then we can go from there. But if they're like, here, guys, feel free to look at the site plan.
The way I look at it though is it's not really, we're as appointed officials, our job, let's just say, hey, council, this is your job, figure it out. I mean, we can't, like you said, we can't dictate anyone do anything.
Yeah, I mean, so.
We
we're
should
not
just
exempt
say-
from anything we would say, I mean, we can look
Yeah,
at
and
it, we
it-
can color it, we can draw our favorite
That's it.
superhero
Yeah,
on it.
and at that point, if our hands are really tied, why not go in with, you know,
Right.
please, just can you help us? Let's all kind of see what's going on and kind of work together to see
Or
what's happening.
what if your eyes see something that no one else's eyes have seen? You know, that's the other thing in working in collective, is that you get other opinions of things, just like I wasn't even thinking about a basement.
Well, but here's also, if it is a official, there has to be a public site plan for review, correct? At some point? No?
I mean, you're exempt, like, you don't have to do
Just like this
anything.
building didn't have a public
This-
hearing
yeah,
or
there's
public
no,
site plan.
if that's city-owned property with a city-owned building, or village in this case, then they can move it, and they've worked with Oakland County, because I remember this project being talked about when I was at Oakland County
This is a 10
a
plus year project.
long time ago.
At least.
Of moving it, so it wouldn't go to you, it'd be, if anything, you know, the village council could have a discussion on it, but it wouldn't come to you guys for review. So.
Unless the council wanted it to come to us.
Unless they did, yeah,
Yeah,
they could.
they could do whatever they want.
They could, right, I mean, I mean, that's an attorney question.
Well, isn't that the same as any commission? We only,
You have to go up to the,
it only goes up to the council, and whatever they want to do, they do it anyway. I mean, we're just there to give them our opinions.
Recommendations, yeah.
Okay.
I do believe that this has come up, though, with several other businesses as well, that it's not coming before the planning commission, it's not coming before the proper authorities. There's a wedding venue, another one that's just opening up, that's never been talked about,
Bingo.
that I know of, and I would like to see where that was approved. There's also,
On Elm Street.
yeah, that's on Elm
Who
Street.
is in control here? The people who-
Mr. McGraw, I would ask you to go to the microphone and speak your name and address, please.
We're losing control here.
thank you.
I am Larry McGaw,
Thank you.
213 Washington Street, and I'd like to know who is in control. Is it the council represents the people who live here, or the council who represents the people who do business here from out of state or from somewhere else? Isn't this a representative government?
That may be a question you want to ask the council. This planning commission, I don't think has the authority to answer that question.
Absolutely none.
Maybe a lawyer could answer that.
Okay, we'll be to public comment here shortly. Mr. Koskela?
Christian, I want to thank you for stepping up here today and swinging the gavel very admirably. So thank you for doing that. We do have, it's not a DDA event this weekend. It is the
It is Halloween.
Halloween and also,
The Harry Potter night.
yes, I say mischief and magic, but I don't know if that is that, if it's
It's
magic.
Harry
Is it?
Potter.
It's Harry Potter stuff.
Harry Potter.
So my understanding from the event, there's over 12,000 people that are interested in it off of Facebook. So don't be surprised if we see a lot of out-of-towners coming in.
And
So-
Friday is for adults,
Yes.
basically, and
Yep.
Saturday is for families and children.
So that should be a lot of fun. I think last year they had quite a good turnout, but this year is my understanding more businesses, local businesses are being involved with it. So we should even see more participation throughout the community.
Dancing witches, 6:30 and 7:30.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. And there
Thank
is
you,
Holly's
Jeff.
Famous
Yes.
Gems.
Thank you.
There
World
is
famous.
cider and donuts provided
Oh,
at the park, at the Crayville Park
On Saturday.
on Saturday,
Halloween.
after
Perfect.
the Halloween.
Anything, Ms. Lacy?
Nothing more than what I've already said. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Campbell?
Welcome to a new member, and no, nothing else.
I'm well, good, thank you. Awesome experience.
All right, very good. Well, yeah, I'd like to say thank you for coming and joining us. Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
Oh, and thank you for
Yeah.
running the meeting, too.
While I stumbled through
Appreciate
it.
that.
You did good.
And we shall now open up public comment, where members of the public can address commission once recognized by the chair. Okay, seeing nothing, we shall close public comment.
You're
And
allowed to adjourn.
I believe we are adjourned.
Hold on. You use any of these?
No, you can take them.
Oh, I'm not taking them. I'm delivering them to the lady that